Good morning and welcome to your weekly emotional workout. So this is the second of a 6-part series on facilitative responses. Last week was focusing on feeling. This week the response is clarify and summarize. This conveys that the listener has heard the speaker and is attempting to identify and understand the most significant points within the conversation. Clarifying and summarizing responses are not hard, but they're not used nearly as often as they could be, and they're very powerful. An example of a clarifying and summarizing response would begin with something like, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think you're telling me. Or, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're saying. So in other words, it conveys that you're trying to check out, am I reading what it is you want me to pick up here? The great part about this is that even if you're wrong, the person will correct you and you both gain a better picture of what it is you're really trying to communicate around. It also is the building blocks of trust, because now the person is starting to go, well, they really are making an attempt to gather my perspective and understand where I'm coming from. This is very powerful and goes a long way to encourage very powerful dialogue. An example I can give you of this is that years ago I was sitting new to a team in the corporate boardroom, and I was sitting in a meeting where the task was to come up with some solutions for an identified problem. The problem was that every time somebody threw out a possible solutions, other people just shut it down. That won't work because, that won't work because. And I noticed it was very confusing trying to keep up with all the different reasons they couldn't find a way to work. And so I spoke up and I said, you know, I think one thing we're really clear about here is what won't work. And so why don't we capture that on the board first and make sure we know exactly what won't work. Then we might find the possibility to look for some solutions. So I summarized and tried to keep up with all the different reasons it won't work. To summarize that overall, there seems to be a lot of clarity around what won't work. So let's start there. Then let's look for solutions. The group loved that. In fact, I went up to the board, started the process, and we came out that day with some really powerful solutions to resolve the problem that the company was facing. So that's an example of how clarifying and summarizing response can work, and they can be very powerful when you use them. They're not difficult, but they just take tuning in and practicing them. All right, so have a great week. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me and or contact me at tracy@connectionpointcoaching.com. Thanks.